Welcome back to another episode of Kicking It with Coach Red, where we bring you all the news, stories, takes, and opinions about your favorite teams from the Pacific North, fresh from the good to the bad to the Mariners.
The sweet, sweet Mariners, baby.
And we will get to the Mariners down the road, but we're going to be talking about the clash at the top of the NFC West between the Seahawks and Rams. Both come in top five in points scored, top five defense and scoring defenses, both 7-2. And it's a game that we said would be close, and that part didn't disappoint. There were some big highs and some low lows throughout that game, but we will break it down throughout this episode. But before we do that, why don't I tell you a little bit about us? If you're looking for a guy that is going to be calm, cool, and collected, like our coach, Mike McDonald, you're looking for a guy like me, your boy, Coach Red. You can find me on X, The Real Coach Red, on Instagram at the underscore Coach Red, TikTok at The Real Coach Red. Also find the show over on YouTube. Search Kicking It with Coach Red. Like, subscribe, hit that bell notification, and leave a comment or two. And if you're looking for a guy that's going to be a little bit feistier, just not a lot, baby girl, just a little bit. Like Richard Sherman. It's Kane.
Sure. Yeah, I'm Kane. You can find me over on Twitter, Kane2406, TikTok, Kane0624. Also follow the show's socials over on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Red Pod. Pause. Do it.
Seahawks, unfortunately, do lose the game down in LA,
Yep.
and a lot of
Frustrating.
miscues that there was a touchdown that was taken off the board due to a penalty, um,
Great run, too.
turnovers galore. But still ended with the Rams winning 21-19. Let's break it down by quarter. First quarter, Seahawks 3, Rams 14. Second quarter, Seahawks tack on 6, tacking on another 3 in the third, and then both score 7 in the fourth for your grand total of 19-21. The Rams started the game off scoring on a 1-yard touchdown run by Kyron Williams. That was followed by a 57-yard field goal by Jason Meyers. Devontae Adams catches a 1-yard touchdown pass from Matthew Stafford. Go on to quarter two. You have a couple of field goals, one 30-yarder and one 22-yarder by Jason Meyers. You get into the third. You have a 29-yard field goal by Jason Meyers. And then in fourth quarter, Colby Parkinson, former Seahawk, scores a 6-yard touchdown on throw from Matt Stafford. Kenneth Walker punches it in from 1 yard out. And the Seahawks attempt a 61-yarder as time expires. It's to the right and short. That puts the Seahawks at 2-2 in the division, and what rate? 9-3 overall. That doesn't seem
Seven,
right.
7-3.
7-3. Sorry, I'm thinking ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it was ultimately a disappointing game because here's kind of the big points. Puka Nacua had a good game, but didn't have a great game. Devontae Adams had 1 yard, and it was a touchdown. So the
And
defense
he had a
did
couple
their
of bad drops. You could tell that the body was still hurting him. There were a couple of uncharacteristic plays
yeah.
from
The
him.
the oblique really did things, and they took two touchdowns off the board because Cooper Kupp had one early where the ball bounced. Uh, but it was an unfortunate thing because as Sam Darnold didn't it was just four bad throws, four really bad throws. And
I would
other
say
than that, he played pretty well.
that it was 3 very bad throws and 1 very bad decision. So, um, let's start off with uh, some stats. Sam Darnold was 29 of 44 on the day for 279 yards, 4 interceptions, 0 sacks. And I think that he even talked about it after the game. He's he was trying to not get sacked, and on two of them, was really rushing a throw because of an impending sack, and one was where he shot put it. That one, if he takes the sack, you're eliminating that turnover, right? There were a
Sure.
couple of throws that just were not good throws.
No.
It's not like he very well couldn't have seen a guy, but they were double coverage, a couple of them, or a
Mhm.
guy was bracketed. So, not the moves that you're looking to make in the quarterback room. And that's what he said. Sometimes you got to
Yeah.
take the sack because it's better than a turnover, right? And
100%. And other than those instances, he still played pretty good. I mean, he got the ball to our tight ends very efficiently this game. I feel like AJ Barner had a very good game. And of course, the class act, JSN, just almost every ball he throws to him is just the sweetest throw you could possibly see.
well,
Um,
and like I said in the lead up, for you to win this game, you're going to need a good game from Sam Darnold.
right.
And outside of the turnovers, it was a solid game from Sam Darnold. And
Yeah.
you really look at this, when you turn the ball over 4 times and only get one turnover in return, and you lose the game by two against going into this game, you looked at the Seahawks and the Rams were both considered league wide to be top five teams and by
Mhm.
many accounts top three teams. So to lose to a team on the road, which let's be real, the Seahawks traditionally played very well on the road, but to
Yep.
lose by 2 points against a team, which we'll get into further, that
Was very
Matt
good.
Stafford was playing at an unreal level for multiple weeks, right?
And they
Where
shunted him through three.
So we'll get into that more when we get to the defense. But like I said, you needed a good game from Sam Darnold, and you didn't get that. But I
Nope.
also think that it shows you with him not trying to press because you saw a little bit of him, a little bit more franticness, right? And
Mhm.
some of that can be attributed to Timmy coming in at center this week, who's traditionally a better run blocker than a pass blocker.
Mhm.
You lose Gray Zabel late in the game due to injury, which just checked right before the recording. Mike McDonald said that he's day to day, so that is good news. But you were able to insert Christian Haynes to come back for the last series, and they moved the ball. They just didn't have that sense of urgency that you wanted to see, especially when they were
With
sitting there with one
under 30,
timeout.
yeah, with under 30 seconds to go. I mean,
But
it it is what it
it's
is.
but like I said, to be in a position to win the game on a long field goal when it was I wouldn't even say arguably, week one, you can kind of give some credence where week one's always going to be a crapshoot, but this was your worst offensive game because of the
Mhm.
turnovers, and still to be within 2 points is a testament itself where I don't think it's really going to hamper how people see Seattle in the grand scheme of those power rankings. I would imagine that they're still going to be a top five or top 16 when the power rankings come out tomorrow or Wednesday.
Yeah, it kind of got to give all the credits to credit to defense in this game and
Well,
how
we're not
well
on
they
the
played.
defense yet, Kane. We got to go to our rushing stats.
Yeah, yeah, but in the grand scheme of things, that's what it is.
Kane, the master schemer on the grand levels. All right, let's go into the rushing attack. Um, Kenneth Walker paced the team, 16 carries, 67 yards, had what would you call it, 15, 20-yard run, touchdown run, a race on a holding call. You
Ridiculous.
had Sharps, 11 carries for 37 yards, and JSN clocked in with 1 carry for 11 yards. Everyone else was under 10.
I think
But
K9 had a great day.
when you look at it, where you want the Seahawks to ultimately be, and this is you're going up against a good defense, they need to be over 100 yards rushing, and
Yeah.
they were over 100 yards, and ideally you'd like to see them closer to 150, but with the struggles that we have seen at points in time throughout this year against lesser defenses in the running attack, getting over 100 yards and a touchdown, and realistically, you're one holding penalty away from being, one 140 on the
Yeah.
day. Well, let me see. The Seahawks finished with 135, so they'd be over 150 with that run not getting called back. That's right where you want them to be.
Exactly. And I said it earlier in the week that the running back room is going to look little cleaner this week, and they did. Outside the holding call, K9 was hitting the holes that you needed him to hit, and it was explosive for him. He was at, it looked like he was outside of the times he got stuffed. It was 3 to 4 yards a game.
Well, and he
So,
was letting his blocks develop, and that's the like we've said in the past, the good combo that they have with him and Sharp, because Charbonnet will just go in there and pound the hole and get those
mhm.
gritty yards, and K9 gives you that boom ability to go make a big play, right? And you saw that at points in time. He sat there, his long run that he ripped off was 25 yards, and for Charbonnet, it was 6. So Charbonnet is the meat and potatoes, and then your home run hitter is K9. We've said that this whole time, and it against good teams, you're going to need them both to be effective, and ideally you want them both above 4, which K9 was, and you were at 3.4 with Sharps. If you can get them both above 4 on the average, you're going to be good. You're going to be really good.
I agree.
Let's go over to the receiving game. Shock of the century. The leading receiver is JSN. He had 9 catches for 105 yards. AJ Barner, 10 catches for 70 yards. Kenneth Walker, 3 catches for 44 yards, which one of the things we talked about, it was imperative to use the screen game and utilizing the running backs out of the backfield to be an extension of that run game. Getting 44 yards out of Kenneth Walker in the pass game was
I
big.
mean, yeah, over 120 yards all purpose. K9 had a day. It was good to see.
And then you had Rashid Shaheed, 2 catches for 27 yards, and Cooper Cup, 3 catches for 23 yards.
I expected Cup to have a bigger game
He
than
came
what
in
he did.
clutch on the last drive, and
Yeah.
we're talking about a couple of inches difference from him having a touchdown pass on Seattle's opening drive,
Mhm.
or yeah,
Yeah.
opening drive. I
Yeah.
expected Shaheed to get a little bit more over the top, but the Rams, like we
It,
said, are a tough defense, and Sam Darnold was not
it,
comfortable throughout the game.
no, and their DBs were playing sticky through most of it, and that was the thing. And
Well,
they're
Emmanuel Forbes had
young.
a great pass breakup against Shaheed that he thought that ball was dropping right in the hands, and it was a late hand by Emmanuel Forbes that breaks up a touchdown pass that would have resulted in potentially a game winner for the Seahawks, right?
Right.
So, like we said, this is two defenses that are playing at such a high level, and overall, outside of the turnovers, the Seahawks outperformed the Rams offense, which we'll get into once we talk
I,
about the defensive guys.
yeah. If you just take one turnover away, this might be a whole different game.
Exactly. Well, let's talk about the defense. And the thing that was tough to look at defensively is it was a real group effort, and nobody's stats really just hit you in the face, right?
Yeah.
This is the first game, I believe, all year that the Seahawks did not record a sack. They did not have an interception in this game, which you kind of expected with the way that Matthew Stafford had been playing. They were able to force one fumble, and we'll get into the top players. I got 4. We got Ernest Jones. He ended the day with 6 tackles. We knew that he was going to be a key piece to this, especially in a revenge type game. Ty Okada also had 6 tackles. Kobe Bryant had 5 tackles and a forced fumble. Byron Murphy, which kudos to Byron Murphy. He doesn't get talked enough about by us, but his ability to create pressure. He had one tackle for loss. The first drive, Kyron Williams was moving and grooving, and the Seahawks run defense has been one of the better ones in the league so far. And some of that's attributed to them getting out to big leads early on in games and teams having to abandon the rushing attack to try and play catch up by moving the ball in big chunks through the air. But Byron Murphy has been playing at a top tier level and should very much be in contention for a Pro Bowl spot this year.
Agreed.
But
Yeah.
like I said, there was 0 sacks, but they did have 4 passes defended in this game.
Mhm.
And the defense played ridiculous. Okay. They
So
only
well.
they only gave up 249 total yards. Matt Stafford only threw for 130. They had 119 on the ground. And Kyron Williams only 12 rushes for 91 yards, one of those being a big 34-yarder on that first. And there were times where he's pieced him up, but they just could not keep it going. There was only 12 first downs for the Rams on the day. They were held to 2 for 11 on third down. Like,
Mhm.
that's a great day by
You
the
you
defense.
also want to know an unfortunate part, Tyrese Knight going out on concussion on kickoff. You
Well,
know,
you knew that he was going to see the playing time cut back, but there was another guy that I had talked about that I expected to get a lot of playing time, and even with Josh Jobe coming back from injury, was Reek Woolen, and Reek Woolen broke up a touchdown to Devontae
Requel
Adams in the
played
end zone. Like,
awesome.
and Mike McDonald said it after the game. They're like, well, what's going on? You had Josh Jobe coming back, but Reek outsnapped him. He's like, Reek earned the time on the
Yeah.
field. And this defensive backfield, especially when you get a Julian Love back with
Oh,
E-Man Worry and Spoon and Job and Bryant and Okada, like, and Reek, this is a fun shell at the back end.
yeah. I mean, Nick also had a good game. It was just they didn't really try to go at it.
Well, 130 yards, 15 for 28. Like this, at one point, Matthew Stafford, before a couple of dink and dunks at the tail end, there was under 50%
Mhm.
completion percentage.
They were unreal guarding everybody this week, and it just for your team to turn the ball over 4 times, and I think they scored on one turnover. I think
I
that's
think
the
it was two.
stat
I think it was two.
that they could have scored. I think the last interception they scored. So
They scored
yeah.
on the last interception and early because they had a touchdown on the first turnover
Mhm.
where they only had to get 25 yards, and then they had one, or no, their long first drive, I believe, was like 75 yards. Then they had a 25-yard touchdown drive, and then I believe that they were starting in plus territory when they scored their third touchdown.
Yeah, and other than that, the defense absolutely stopped them.
Yeah, so as frustrating as that game was, the
We knew
Seahawks
it
are
was gonna be
still in a very
close.
good spot, right? They're in a
Yeah.
great spot. And I think that when you look around the league right now at some of the other teams that are near to the top, you've got Philly that's playing really good defense, but you're seeing a little bit of ineptitude offensively. You're looking at the Packers that are kind of in the same boat. You've got the Bucks that have been playing people tough, and the Seahawks just kind of in that game. Baker Mayfield did a little bit of extra magic in that game and was able to propel them over the top, but they've shown their vulnerabilities as of late. Same thing with the Lions. They're not nearly as explosive offensively as you expected. So you're kind of in this spot where the rest of the league, you're feeling pretty good about where the Hawks sit through 10 games.
No, I agree. I mean, yeah, the 49ers kind of stomped the Cardinals.
Cardinals are not playing good ball right now.
No, and the 49ers are now like gained back. That's tough, but it's also there's so many injuries that have happened through the league this year too
Yeah.
that have changed the dynamics of some teams.
Well, and you look at the Seahawks season could have been derailed by injuries. Some of the games where they are missing multiple starters in the wide receiver room, the amount of time that's been missed by the secondary. You've had
Mhm.
injuries to Ernest Jones. You lost Jaron Reed last week. Chinny
Yep.
Nwosu is still coming back from injury. You've had Dexter Lawrence that's been out, right? So the Seahawks have also been battling it, but they've been able to persevere. And in the grand scheme, the Seahawks had 26 first downs compared to 12 first downs by the Rams. The Seahawks outgained the
Mhm.
Rams 414 to 249. And that's really where you look at, like we talked about, you're sitting there. The turnovers were the difference in the game. They outpassed them by 149
I
yards and they
mean, I
outrushed them by 20 yards approximately.
yeah, yeah. Outside of just four turnovers, dude, the
Yeah.
Seahawks outplayed them.
It's not the outcome you want, but it's also a type of game that you can use as fuel to your fire down the stretch.
Mhm.
You're coming into a spot where, let's be real, you're facing three teams in a row that are a little bit lackluster in the grand scheme of things, and you can't overlook anybody. And I think that coming out of this game, they go on the road, but it's against a team that they should do well. And I think they're going to have a sour taste in their mouth and be able to go take care of
A
business.
it's the Cam Ward is in for some, I
So you go there, then you host the Vikings, where JJ McCarthy's having trouble with his accuracy, and then you got the Falcons, who potentially have
lost
lost Michael Penix for the year with the knee injury. Kirk Cousins did not look good in his one start, and
uh,
hasn't in coming in for an injured Michael Penix didn't look great. And
Drake London.
Drake London, you don't know the severity of that, and we'll get into the Titan stuff, but let's finish the wrap on this game. We do it win or lose. Who was your offensive player of the game?
Jackson Smith and Jigba, dude. I mean, the dude is just unreal.
The one-handed catch he made on the sideline too is just so
So
filthy. It
clean.
seems like he does one of those a year now.
And like my God, man, the amount of difference between him and the next guy is kind of unreal at this point.
He's special.
He's his man. I cannot believe that out of that class, right? Like you have two guys now that have kind of figured it out from that class. Because Zay Flowers, I think we're still on the fence about, but
I would
Quentin
say
John,
that Zay's. I would say that if you were trying to say that you're talking about people that figured out, Zay Flowers is still overall figured it out more than Quentin Johnson.
I don't know, man. I had Zay Flowers fantasy for years, and it was not a fun time. But it just JSN has
We're not
set
talking
this.
about fantasy. We're talking
Yeah,
about
I'm
what's
aware
happening
of
between
that.
the lines.
I'm aware. But JSN, what he has put together from year 1 and 2 to now year 3, you saw not a lot of usage year 1. Usage in the second half of last year really upticked and he looked great. But this year is something else. And yeah, JSN has just put on an unreal show for us week in, week out. So give
Yeah.
me JSN this week.
The other guy that you forget is Jordan Addison. I would take Jordan Addison, Zay Flowers, and JSN all above Quentin Johnson.
That's fair.
So your breakout guy is still fourth on the pecking order of those first round receivers that went four in a row.
What's the down on this?
I digress.
Shit.
Um, I was so close to giving the offensive player of the game to Jason Meyers. Um,
Sure.
Outside of the 61 yarder that just didn't have enough oomph because he did hit that 57 yarder on the opening drive that had plenty of leg, I think, to get there from 61, right? But ball was wide right. I think they were on the left hash even. No, they were on the right hash, but he pushed it right, and it just didn't have that giddy up and go. But
Mm-hmm.
Jason Meyers has been pretty solid from 55 and in, and
Mm-hmm.
him nailing that 57 yarder and being automatic inside that really puts you in a position to win this game. But I think the person that really caught my eye and the ultimate chain mover was AJ Barner in this game.
Dude, he was really good this week.
He did get stuffed on the tush push, but he had one or two earlier in the game where he was able to convert. You know, in clutch time when it was third down,
That's who
you
Sam
had
was
Sam
throwing to.
Darnold targeting Barner. Barner's never sniffed 10 catches in a single game. And when you play good teams, you've got to look at
Utilize
times your
everybody.
second and third options, right? I
Mm-hmm.
think that when you get Torrey Horton back, the dynamic that you can bring there, you've seen the clutchness that you can get with Cooper Cup. You know the burnability, and there was a great route by Rashid Shaheed where he was WTFO on a deep out just by his ability to win off the line and to make a move later. But having AJ Barner, who beginning of the year was that hawk near the end zone, right? That
Mm-hmm.
touchdown vulture, and being able with that big body to do stuff, his ability to catch the ball and get positive yards, it kind of reminds you a little bit of a Jason Witten type player,
Mm-hmm.
not the most athletic guy in the world, not the one that's going to go be flashy. I was going to say Zach Ertz, but Zach Ertz early in his career was bananas. When you look at
Yeah,
Zach
I
Ertz
mean,
down the
Jason Witten
road,
is a prolific pass catcher
and
at some
it
point.
wasn't big, it was just chunk 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 chunk,
Yeah.
and that accumulation built up. And that's kind of, I saw a Jason Witten type of
Mm-hmm.
experience this week, and his ability to make some difficult catches to
Yeah.
move the chains was instrumental in putting the Seahawks in a position to be ultimately where they were at to win the game, to have be in position to win the game as
Sure.
time expired.
I mean, per my eye test, I suppose, it seemed like every time he's getting the ball, it was between that 6 to 8 yard range. And like you said, he was pushing up field almost every time. He's a big dude. And I don't think we're giving him enough credit for the work he's put in on the hands this year because it's way better than it was last year.
Yeah,
And he was coming out as a blocking tight end.
and this could really be a big coming out party for him. And I think that as you see more
Oh
eyes
yeah.
go to him, that opens up the door for Elijah Arroyo even that much more, who is kind of
Yes.
more of that high profile pass catching type of tight end.
Mm,
And the Seahawks are going to continue to come out in heavy personnel with two tight end sets. And it's going to be very interesting to see how they attack defenses the rest of this year with that emergence that you've been seeing over the course of this year, with it culminating in this game for AJ Barner.
agreed. Great picks this week.
All right, who's your defensive player of the week?
Give me Kobe Bryant, dude. Ah, he's just still playing at an unreal level. And when he popped that ball out from Kyron Williams, I lost it because it was such a good play. He's done that multiple times now. It's almost like he's perfected the peanut punch. And dude, this is like 6 times in 2 years that he's done it. He's been unreal. And for him to just keep doing stuff like this almost week in, week out, playing good defense too, getting the majority of some tackles, give me Kobe Bryant this week. I think he played exceptionally well, especially with, you need Julian Love back soon.
Yeah. The only reason I wouldn't want to go towards Kobe Bryant, uncharacteristically, he did have a couple of missed tackles through there. He had one
He
on
did.
that first drive where he's coming down on Kyron Williams and just completely whiffs. So it's not something you're used to seeing out really any of your defensive backs,
Mm-hmm.
but especially out of Kobe Bryant. Usually he's pretty sure handed and able to at least
Yeah.
tie a guy up to clean it up. But there were a couple times where he was bouncing off some guys, which was a little uncharacteristic for me.
later in the game, kind of locked it down. So
Yeah, the
that's
first
kind of
half
where
was a
I'm.
little bit rougher.
Yeah, second half, locked it in and played exceptionally well. Who's
I'm
your
gonna
defensive
go.
player?
I'm gonna go with the guy that I highlighted, and it was Reek Woolen. I said that you needed him to have a big game, although he was only credited with one pass breakup.
Hmm.
The dude was sticky again. Like he is
Yeah,
proving himself
I
to
changed my
a level
opinion.
that we haven't seen since his rookie year. And it's
Yeah,
been a phenomenal stretch of games. And it only makes this defense that much more dangerous down the
mhm.
stretch
I mean,
because you have so many options.
he held Devontae Adams to 1 yard, and it's like that whole drive, he stuffed him, and he just got him on a little shake in the end zone. That was it.
Yeah.
Reek Woolen played amazing. I've changed my mind, dude. He's getting a bag this season at the
Oh,
end of the
he's
year.
getting back. I don't think it's going to be with the Seahawks, but
I
uh,
think so. I don't think they're gonna let that go,
yeah, but they
especially if
have
he's
space
playing
for
like
him.
this.
They're
Yeah,
not going to be able. The Seahawks are not going to allocate top money
I don't
when they
know.
already are paying. When they're already paying Julian Love for a multi-year deal, you know they're going to keep Spoon in the building, and you're eventually going to need to keep Nicky Manwari under
You're
contract. So I think it's going
wrong,
to be
but
tough unless he's
yeah,
going to take a discount for a team that he's had some ups and downs, and with a coaching staff that has put him on the bench multiple times. I think he's probably going to go somewhere that he is a bona fide day one. There's no question about it
maybe
that he's
we'll
in the starting
see.
lineup week in, week out, and probably CB1.
We'll see. We'll see.
All right. Next week we got a game against the Titans. Titans are 1-9. Offensively, they're not very prolific. Cam Ward is averaging under 2 yards, 200 yards a game.
Mhm.
Their rushing attack is averaging under 100 yards a game. There's going to be no Calvin Ridley this week, and their offense is scoring 14 points a game, while their defense is giving up about 27 points a game.
It's another one of those games where you should expect them to just keep their foot on the throat the entire game. It is what it is. They're gonna come out of this loss feeling some sort of way. And I think this defense is going to put an absolute smackdown on the Titans offense.
This could have ultimately been a big trap game, right? If you win
It
this
could
game
have
against the
been.
Rams and then you look at the Vikings, who since JJ McCarthy's been the starter is 1-1. They're right there with the Bears needed to come back and hit a long field goal to win. And they made that comeback the week before, I believe, against the Lions, right?
Mhm.
So looking ahead at a team that's a little bit pesky, has a little bit more offensive firepower, has a little bit more name recognition on defense. But I think that you're going to see the Seahawks exercise some of the demons that haunted them in this game. I think your defense is going to go out hungry. I think they're going to attack this young offense because when you look at it, yeah, you got Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears, who I like as running backs, but Cam Ward, you've got Chiggy Conquero, right, as your tight end, but without Calvin Ridley, that leaves you with rookie, Alec Eleanor and DK Chime DK, right? Both rookies. So I look for them to go. And when you look at this defense, you got Cody Barton's wearing a C on his chest, which is not something that you would have ever thought would have happened. And he
I love
still is
Cody
playing
Barton,
good
bro.
ball, right? And has since he left the Seahawks. But
Hmm.
who do you see as the offensive player of the week?
I it's got to be Sam this week, right? Little comeback, turnaround, no turnover game, and multiple touchdown game. This has got to be Sam Darnold, offensive player of the game this week. I don't think it can really go either way unless JSN goes crazy for like 200 yards. You know what I mean? But nah, it's got to be Sam Darnold this week. Who do you think the offensive player of the game would be?
I think some of that's going to come down to how your interior offensive line looks, right? Your highest profile guy is defensive tackle Jeffrey Simmons. I think he leads the team in sacks with 5.5.
Mhm.
He is a disruption guy in the middle. And with Oluwatimi going to be starting, you're not sure if it's going to be Gray Zabel or if it's going to be Christian Haynes. Anthony Bradford at times looks really good, and other times looks lost. So I think that's going to be a big factor into my offensive player of the game. I think you and I are flip flopping. I think Rashid Shaheed is going. I don't think they're going to get as much pressure as you saw the Rams
You'll
get.
have
And I
time.
think that is going to give Darnold more time in the pocket, especially. I think they're going to get the running game going started very early in this game. And I
Mhm.
think that that play action pass is going to allow Sam to attack downfield, which is where he's been best all year. And it's really going to give you that time to see what Rashid Shaheed can do offensively for this team and their ability to stretch the field. I could see him very much coming down with 2 touchdowns in this game and one of them being a very long touchdown catch.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
All right, who do you got as your defensive player of the week?
Give me Nick Emanwari this week. I think from one rookie to another, he's gonna make Cam Ward's life a living hell this week. And I think I already sent him on some blitz. He's gonna play sticky defense. I have a feeling he's gonna lead the team in tackles as well. Give me our rookie who's been exceptional this year for kind of being the main star of the week. Like the spotlight will be on him to disrupt Cam this week. So give me Nick, Coach Red, who you got?
I'm going to go with the guy that we didn't really touch on in this episode, and it's a guy that we haven't really touched on much this year. And you're looking at through 10 games, Cam Ward has taken 41 sacks. So it's over 4 a game. The Seahawks are going to come out hungry. And there's a player that plays very well against the run. He had a big stuff this week for a tackle for loss that really stymied something. And I think that you're going to get that pass rush back. I'm gonna go with the Chin and Owosu to kind of have a little breakout game here and kind of get back to what we
He has
saw
played
when we
very
first brought
well.
him in. He's been playing very solid and he has poured on a couple of sacks this year, but you've seen each week as he has gotten healthier throughout the year and getting used to because he missed a lot of
Just
last year, right? His
yeah.
ability to set the edge is phenomenal for the run game. And he's got that bag of tricks to be able to go and attack a young offensive line and a
Mhm.
rookie quarterback that's getting sacked 4 times a game. And that's not even against elite pass rush talent. And what the Seahawks are able to do non blitzing, right? When this is their first game in week 10 that they do not get a sack, you know what? It's coming to Thanksgiving, and some people are going to go try and sack themselves some turkeys. And that turkey's name is Cameron Ward.
Dude, I think that this whole defensive front is gonna be a problem for him.
It's going to be a rough day.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's going to be a rough day, I think, for the Titans, and you're going to see the Seahawks coming out fast and furious.
Mhm.
You know, early times. It's all
Uh,
about family. It's all about
B
family. It's all
BTA,
about
dude.
family.
BTA, that's what it's gonna be.
As Vin Diesel says, it's all about family.
Sure, as you said, they're gonna come out with a different type of energy this week, and the Titans are gonna be sorry. I feel like there's no other way around it. Like you said, if they would have won against the Rams, yeah, ultimate trap game, right? Ultimate makings of a trap game. But when they missed that field goal, they said they like I have this mindset that they're thinking they're not going to lose again this year. It's going to be a different type of energy from this team. I think offensively and defensively.
And you're going to see a little bit. different type of energy from us here coming up on the social media. I know at points in times it's been a little bit lackluster, but with some additional followers, we are going to come through for you. And you can find me, your boy, Coach Red, on X at the real Coach Red, on Instagram at the real underscore Coach Red, TikTok at the real Coach Red. Also find the show over on YouTube. Search Kicking It with Coach Red. Like, subscribe, hit that bell notification, and leave a comment or two. And big ups to the YouTube clan. More views, longer durations, comments are coming in. Keep it up. We're going to keep pumping out episodes. You know, last week was only one. This week, maybe there might be two. Maybe. You might you might be pleasantly surprised. And you might be pleasantly surprised if you follow Kane.
Sure, you can find me over on Twitter at Kane2406, TikTok Kane0624. Also follow the show's socials over on Twitter and Instagram. That Coach Red Pod. Follows. Don't freaking do it.
And as always, stay fresh.
Stay fresh, peeps.
Peace.